Hello, Digger here. Um, this is a little bit different from my usual videos that I do. Where to start? Where to start? So, this is kind of like how my life kind of was kind of plopped on me in terms of running the FFTCG community here in Kingston, Ontario, in Canada, because I know there's a Kingston, Ontario, Ohio, so I'm just saying Canada. um, so and also from the mindset of someone with autism slash Asperger's syndrome. So, growing up, um, for all intents and purposes, I was different in a way that didn't quite jive with a bunch of people. And back in the 90s, eh, it's not like it is now, so it was just starting to get leeway of understanding, but it didn't quite help. It was just starting to, cool, that's fine, but it was tough. I'm speaking of course, Asperger's syndrome, which prior to it going on to the autism spectrum disorder, it was on its own thing. There is a history for it. It was like it was found out in like in like 1943, 1944, give or take, during World War II. There is a history of it. People don't believe it, but it was discovered by person, whatever his name, Asperger. That was a doctor's name. So, anyway, um, so I still have that going on. So that means a lot of social interactions are difficult for me. Just, all right, it's there. Do I use it as a crutch? No, but I can't ignore it. It's there, and it causes me difficulty at times. So I was mostly in a bubble, and kind of like I didn't want to interact with with most of the world if I absolutely had to. Oh. I didn't want to interact with the world unless I absolutely had to, and just interact online if I really needed to. I had a select few friends, etc., so forth. It was difficult, and I admit that. And there's still difficulties for me today. Um, from there, I would just kind of hold myself in my wherever I lived by myself. Did worked, came home, played games, go to sleep, rinse and repeat. Well, plus take my medication and then eat and all that jazz, but it's kind of meh. So I'll go through all that almost on repetition. Like there was nothing really changing too much. If you didn't realize by now, this is kind of like similar to a draw my life, but now I'm just kind of not drawing, I'm more or less telling. So that was a lot of stuff throughout my life in a nutshell. I still have trouble with social interactions. I snap at times, which is very apparent to some of you that have seen or heard of or witnessed. But yeah, there are times where my social energy just is drained by every interaction throughout the day. I'm by nature an introvert, but due to what I'm doing, I have to use extrovert skills that I would never have dreamed of having. So I have a weird type of in the middle thing where I get drained by social interactions really fast, and if I'm tired, I'm tired, and if I have to go beyond that, either I'm not responsive, I don't remember half the conversations, or I just get angry a lot quicker because I'm just mentally tired. But I had to get those skills really down pat, at least the basics. So, growing up as a kid, blah blah blah, I had help and so on, but then where my family does things a little bit differently than others, um, they basically said, okay, you got a job, cool. By the way, here's an apartment, and you're paying the rent, you're paying the food and everything else. Here you go. Our job's done. You have to pay for everything else. Bye. Doesn't mean they didn't try to help a little bit here and there or so, but he basically said, you're moving out, you're getting kicked out of the nest regardless of what you think. We're going to make it so you have no choice, and we're going to make it so you have to find a way to fast track those skills. We'll help you with learning them, but you'll have to learn them fast. So they basically gave me tools while chucking me off the cliff. So it's like, here, we're just going to chuck you off the cliff. Here's a rope, here's a grappling hook, and here's an extra little bit of padding that we'll put in a backpack on with you. So we taught you how to use them. Chuck off the cliff. By the way, you're going to learn this one way or another, or you're dead, metaphorically speaking. So I had to learn going, okay, just grappling hook onto the ledge. I'm pretty glad I pulled myself up, which I did for a good portion of it. Then I got, and so that kind of escalated up and up and up in different spots, so that's fine. And it was kind of like that when I started the FFTCG community. It was hard. I was going in there to play the game, learn it, and just have fun. Then it just kind of was appointed to me that I'm going to be the community leader just right then and there. No one wanted to do it. I like the game, they like the game, I want to do events, and they're like, you're in charge, this is your group, not mine. I'm like, okay. So then I had to fast track every skill socially that I could muster, and every skill about like business, trade, promotion, all this other stuff from A to Z. Thank God I had a family member that is, like, by career, a businessman, and so on. Now, Action Pack Comics also helped a lot in their own way, and they're helping on a new portion of it. I know that in almost the ins and outs of doing other stuff, but now I'm learning a little bit more of that part of the business, which I will give a shout out to George and Jason at Action Pack. They're as much of the weird interactions I have with some customers and so on, they are willing to go, okay, here's that rule, here's what goes on, you have to learn this, yada, step by step. So that's great. Kudos to them for being patient on that one, because like I said, social interactions are not my forte. Other than that, though, I'd say that this is kind of like unscripted, but I felt it was kind of needed based off the theme of what I want to talk about. So I have Asperger's syndrome, or is on the autism spectrum disorder. Though I wanted to also say that I wouldn't be here if it weren't for hard work and learning social skills, learning interactions with other people. Throughout my life as a child, my parents constantly, even to this day, constantly teaching me social interactions of what's proper, what's not, because within autism, especially for Asperger's, it's very much black and white. It's hard for us to gauge the middle, like the gray area, because we like to see black and white. It's either you do this, or this starts with this, and this is the effect, or whatever. So if things aren't explained to us in a way that can kind of go, okay, here's whatever, here's the effect afterwards and the consequence afterwards, we don't grasp how the gray area would work in between. And I had to learn that within a span of like 2 years. So in 2 years, I had to learn how to pay bills and whatnot. In another 2 years, I had to learn how to do other stuff like manage a house. Because before I was in an apartment, it was blah, 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 blah. So then another 2 years, I had to learn how to relearn, how to manage a house that had stuff that wasn't covered under whatever taxes or whatever. So there's always been a fast track of skills I had to learn, and saying FFTCG is no exception. I will give it this. As much as I have frustration with FFTCG at times, I am utmost grateful for it. If it weren't for this game, I would not have met the people I've met, good or bad. I would not have been able to build my skills and socially that I would have. I wouldn't have gone on road trips and just meet awesome people. There's a lot of stuff I wouldn't have done on my own, or even have met people if I weren't playing the game. I was very in a bubble in a lot of ways, and I'm truly thankful for it. Like I know the game's not perfect and management and all that stuff. Nothing is. Excuse me. Nothing is perfect at all. There's always room for improvement, and I am very much of a prime example of that. I always look to improve things. I always look to step above what I currently have done. It's like, okay, I've accomplished this. Oops, I've accomplished this. What else can I accomplish that can improve it? Okay, I'll go to this tier, this tier, this tier, and keep going. So when people that are in the community that like to use disorders, like mental disorders, as a crutch, I was raised not to ever do that, because every person with a mental disorder, including autism, because look at Elon Musk, look at Albert Einstein, they have their own quirks, but they were well known. They put their mark on the world, especially Elon Musk currently, because like, hey, he made Tesla, he made space travel, and he's going, okay, well, I'm able to do all of this and whatnot. He even introduced and hosted SNL. Sure. Which was a huge, like, awesome. Actually, Bill Gates also has Asperger/autism as well, that I know of. And there's believed that Leonardo da Vinci did too. Believed. Anyway, went off track there. So when people use that stuff as a crutch, I look at it as going, don't do that. You have the skills, you have the will, you can get things done and improve. You can't just keep like wallowing in self-pity, because yeah, it sucks when you have it and all that stuff, but you have to work hard. I know it's not easy. I know it's not the best option. I know it's hard and you don't want to deal with it at times. But it does get results. And hard work pays off. And that's no more true than a job, that interaction with family, friends, etc. You have to persevere. You have to keep going. And when you know you can have a skill that you are really good at, you can excel at that one skill. You can focus on that one skill that you are excelling at and just go with it. Sometimes you don't sometimes you don't meet or see which one you are able to be passionate about and go with it. Took me about 25 years before I could realize that I wouldn't want to do like business stuff and just promote and all that stuff. I thought I wanted to be a game developer or like video editor or whatnot. It wasn't for me. I found it out in college. First semester. After that semester, during that semester, I found out this wasn't for me. So took time after that to learn what I wanted to do in life and what skills I wanted to improve on. FFTCG taught me that as well. It taught me a lot of things about myself and what I have to improve on. There's a few people in the Kingston FFTCG group that have autism, that have Asperger's syndrome. Yes, we have it. We acknowledge it, but we never use it as a crutch. And if we do, we go and someone points it out to us, we're like, "Oh, I'm going to rectify this right now." So we compensate. We do it in our own different way, but we compensate. We figure out what we can do to improve that can work for us and can work to benefit other people around us. It's never easy. It's never easy. I can tell you this right now. We work very hard in social interactions. There are times where I want to just veg out for a week by myself and recharge. But I don't have the luxury for that. I wish I did. Next month I'm going to have a little bit because I'm going to do 2 projects that are just video gaming and streaming for a charity. I'm willing to do that. I'm able to do that. That's fun to me, and I can just veg out by myself with maybe 1 or 2 people helping on the one part. But that's just us playing video games and having fun while streaming and just going woo, and then we just go with a good cause. So I would say that this is kind of like a controversial topic at times because autism / Asperger's is a weird middle ground. Some of us are high functioning or whatnot, but those of us that are like me that are high functioning are enough to function where we seem normal. When people see us acting strange or whatnot, they're like, "What's wrong with you? Why are you acting like this?" It's like, "Well, we have this." It's like, "No, you don't." But it's just like, it's a lot of hard work. I don't like to bring this up because I don't like to use it as a crutch, like I mentioned. And people are like, "You have Asperger's or you have autism?" It doesn't look like it. Actually, George, the shop, have said, "Do you just leave your autism at home?" Because I never see it. I never see the stuff that would normally represent it. So I'm going, yeah, because there's a lot of hard work to get the skills where I don't show much of it. I have it. Some people may have seen that. Some people may, like I said, seen it, witnessed it, heard it, experienced it. That's 4 things. And then, this is kind of like a thankfulness. I'm thankful to FFTCG as well as me kind of doing how my life started with it, or leading up to it, then with it, then moving on to continue with it. I've said to the producer / creator of the game that helped reboot it across the world. Or it was originally in Japan, then he rebooted it for the rest of the world and all that stuff. He's the main one that runs it. I mentioned to Kagayama on Twitter and whatnot. I will keep supporting that game continuously until Square Enix decides to no longer support it. Because that game did a lot of things for me that changed my life for the better. Though stressful, but it was for the better. And I am eternally grateful for that. Sorry, Kagayama-san. Forgot the horrific there. My bad. I would add the other one. There's a lot more. Probably a lot more respect, but I'm pretty sure he wouldn't really like that, to be honest. I would say that not only that, but it's been a tough 5 years, maybe 6 now, coming on 6. When I first started, it was tough. I had to do a lot of promotion, had to give away a lot of cards, and yada yada, etc., so forth. And then when Canada never had a regional, this is after the day after KubaCon, which is an awesome community thing, by the way. I take a lot of notes from Alex, who runs it and whatnot, which, by the way, he is awesome in running a lot of that. So I've seen him at KubaCon early in the morning, just going blah, 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 just running around like a chicken with his head cut off, trying to organize stuff, going from one to another to another to another to another. So he's an inspiration for that. As much as people tend to give flack to Rochelle, or RB as kind of is the nickname, as whatnot, the North American rep, she does a lot. Like, she does a hell of a lot for the North American side. In her own way, she does her own bit to help the community. Tim in EU also does a lot in his own way. And as far as I know, the New Zealand Australia North rep is also named Tim, so he does his own bit as well, from what I've heard. So each of the reps are very hardworking. Haven't talked to Tim in EU. Very nice guy. He does a lot, and he's done a lot in terms of how to go about things. Though Rochelle doesn't do the exact same thing Tim does, she does promotion, which is kind of interesting how she does it, and it shows in terms of promotion. Like, she's reached out to Eagle Raptor, or at least that's what I remember him as from Metal Gear Awesome and all that stuff, because that used to be on Newgrounds. That's how I remember Eagle Raptor, the rapper from Starbomb and all that stuff. I remember him from there, or people remember him from Game Grumps or whatnot. I remember him in his early Newgrounds animation when that was a thing. I think he animated for Fox at one point. I think he said. I don't remember that part, but I remember Newgrounds animation from him. He also, sorry, I was going to talk about Eagle Raptor. Was like, wait a minute, no, I've already said that. Michelle also reached out to Unaleska, which is awesome, by the way. Unaleska's a big Final Fantasy fan and streamer. I don't get to catch her streams as often as I would like, because real life and trying to organize stuff and doing stuff I can for the community takes up a lot of my time. There's a numerous amount of streamers that I want to watch, but I just don't have the time as much as I would like. From what I've heard about the New Zealand Australia one, or Tim there, he does his own fair share. Like, he makes kind of like, not really deals, but he reaches out to other communities to try to figure out what could work, what can't, how to help out shops. I mean, each rep does that, but I don't know how he does it, but he does it a little bit differently from Tim and Michelle from EU and North America. By the way, sorry, this is kind of a shout out to both Tim EU, Tim Australia, New Zealand, and Rochelle from North America, and also a shout out to Kagayama from Japan. So there's a lot of stuff that I'm thankful for. I really appreciate Kagayama and Rochelle and Tim from EU signing cards for me, which is awesome. I use them in my deck. I put them in my binder. Another streamer which I enjoyed talking about FFTCG for a while. I even enjoyed his Opera Omnia content. Haven't been able to catch his streams as much. Well, obviously he's in the UK. If I want to catch him, it's like early in the morning for me at like 2 or 3 a.m. It's Josepher. He made a custom art, which at the time, it was kind of like a raffle at the time, and he asked who likes World TV. I'm like, me, thank you. He's like, perfect, I'll send you a custom art card. I was like, what? That meant a lot. Right now it's in my binder, it's not moving. Currently out of the binder, but I use it for, explanation stuff. Other than that, it stays in a sleeve. I put it in the binder after it's done. So that meant a lot. I wish Go Guys playing that. Feels bad. um, yeah, there's a lot I'm thankful for the game. There's a lot of people I respect. I may not get along with with some of the people and community leaders. I admit that. I am not perfect. I don't expect to be. I'm not a perfect angel. I don't expect anyone else to be. We all have our quirks. We all have our breaking points. We all react differently. Some of them I don't like. I'm pretty sure that they don't like me. But at the end of the day, which I've mentioned on Twitter and a couple times on Facebook, it doesn't matter whether or not we don't like each other. At the end of the day, I'm pretty sure we would have utmost respect for each other. And if push comes to shove and people are dissing one of us and how we run things, we don't do enough, blah, 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 we will come to each other's defense going, no, that's not how this works. Keep your mouth shut until you actually know how much they do. Like, we will come to each other's defense immediately as soon as people start disrespecting what we do in the community. That's how much we have to respect for each other, even though we just don't like each other. Yeah, I think that's about it, but I will wrap things up by saying, even if there's other communities that you're trying to promote and get a little bit overshadowed, by other communities in the area that are a little bit bigger, that do a lot of work, us community leaders that have got to where we are, haven't got there without hard work. Like, through blood, sweat, and tears. The blood part actually almost quite literally, to be honest. I remember getting the H1N1 after KupaCon or during that. I was sick. Like, even me that has a bit of a high pain tolerance, that just doesn't feel pain, where I just feel like I have a really bad cold, apparently was the H1N1 virus flu. So I was like, oh, I know this because someone got it and went to the hospital because of it. I'm like, oh, whoops. So, yeah, and I was still running around with the chicken with my head cut off, to the point where George at Action Back, even Jason, took my car keys and said, you were laying down on his couch and sleeping, we're not going to trust you driving. So I lay down on the couch, went to sleep at 5 p.m., woke up at 5 a.m. In the morning at the shop, George was still there. He waited overnight, and he's like, oh, you're awake. I'm like, what time is it? I'm like, 5 a.m. I have to go home. No, you're not going home yet. I have to go home. It's like, I don't care. You're not going home until I technically officially open. Like, okay. Went back to sleep, woke up around 8 or 9. He's like, yeah, you can go home now. I'm like, okay. So, now, little did I know, subconsciously, I brought my meds with me. Which he's like, he kind of put the med bottle essentially out on the table prior. He's like, when he closed, he's like, take your meds and go home. I'm like, wow, I didn't know I brought them. He's like, yeah, you did. Huh, okay. Yeah, so I was sick. Like, I looked like death rolled over. Like, there was numerous times where I could have technically died, quite literally. So, yeah. Yeah. Yeah, this, like I said, it's kind of unscripted, but I felt like it kind of needed to be. I'd say that with the send-off of this video, never give up on what you're trying to do. Hard work pays off. You'll get the support for FFTCG for your community that you need. It takes time, it takes effort, it takes grit, it takes elbow grease, and all that other stuff. I'm not the only one in Canada that works hard. Neither am I the only one in North America in general that works hard. Even Mexico is part of it, and there's the community leader there that works incredibly hard. And all of us work incredibly hard. Some of us more so than others, some of us less so, depending on how you view it. Each person has their own opinion, right? Nothing's in that situation. Nothing's given to us on a silver platter. Now, some of us have jobs that are very supportive, which is one of mine, which is I'm so grateful for. Like if I'm planning a trip, they're willing to say, okay, just make up the day that you're not here, and for an extra day that you need to work, and you can go on the trip. Like, oh my god, thank you. And yeah, so for those that have like any sort of mental disorder, never give up. Find what you're good at and focus on it, and you'll improve. For those that are starting your community and FFTCG, take jot notes from other people that have done stuff. Figure out what you think you would like to specialize in, and what can differentiate you. Sorry, differentiate. Make yourself different from the other communities that you can set yourself apart from. A lot of other things have been thought of. Some people sway away from very competitive. Doesn't mean they won't be, but in terms of the locals and events, they are very much of a casual or whatnot. They focus on certain formats more than others. That's just how to separate yourself from every whatever format and just become something that's your own. And I've done that through grit. Some people just don't like it, and you can't please everyone. As long as you enjoy it and a good portion of your community enjoys it and appreciates what you're doing, that's all that matters. Just keep it up. Don't throw in the towel. If the community dies in the area, see if you can merge with another one. I mean, Kingston has become a bit of a hub for other communities close by or nearby. It never ended up. I didn't choose to do it. I wanted to network with other communities to try to do events at their area, but Kingston just became a bit of a hub without me really wanting to do that. I just was like, okay. And then the final shout out for all the thanks and whatnot. RB/Rochelle for North American rep. Thank you for helping with the game, because it does mean a lot. Tim from EU, because he's done his fair share in EU and really nice guy that I talked to. Kagayama-san for even rebooting the game for across the world, because that wouldn't have done anything for me if I didn't know that the game existed and tried it out. Thanks for Tim in New Zealand and Australia, because from what I heard, he does his fair share, and there wouldn't be a community out there if it weren't for him working with other local communities and local shops. So, shout out to Official Ones. Shout out to almost every community leader out there for North America and EU and Australia and the Asian areas. Like, there's a lot that some of the community leaders do that deserve respect. I don't want respect, though I feel like we respect each other. I just don't want that praise. There are times when I snap and I feel like, okay, we have to kind of address the elephant in the room. We've all done work, blah blah blah. I feel like I've done my own thing about going about it. Each one of us done their own bit. But honestly, I don't think I've done anything differently. I don't think I've done anything different from the rest of us that have done stuff to promote the game and so on, because I feel like I've done less than what they have done. So, like Matthew Rice, I can't pronounce your name, so my apologies, John Schneer or something like that. What other ones? There's a bunch of other ones. Lisa, I think. Yeah. I think I can't look up the name right now, but Lisa from Texas in Dallas does her own fair share, and there's a lot of people that in the U.S. and even in Mexico. I can't remember his name offhand. I would if I looked it up on Facebook, but just offhand, I'm terrible with things. I'm good with faces. Um, they've done a lot for their area, for their region, and I give full props and respect for them for doing that, and more for other community leaders. So, last bit I want to say, I kept saying last send off, this is now the last bit. I want to say thank you. This video is unscripted and kind of unorthodox, but I want to say thank you for taking a view of it and whatnot. It's not really easy for me to kind of say I have Asperger's syndrome / autism, because I don't think, I think it'll basically dampen my work and whatnot, and people will think it'll lessen me. I don't like to bring it up, but I felt like I had to on this video. So, thanks again for viewing. If you need any questions and whatnot, I can answer. I don't think I was very clear on some of the stuff. If I was, cool. If I wasn't, like I said, feel free to ask and I'll try to explain it a little bit better. This is Digger, signing out. Thanks again.